No, I think that 47 years of this stuff is long enough. They're at the weakest point they've ever been. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft weaponry, they have no radar, they have no communication. In fact, the biggest problem we have in our negotiation is that they can't communicate. I said to Steve, what are they saying? Sir, they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. So we're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth. They have no communication. But all I want to see is I want to have a safe world. And you're not going to have a safe world. Israel will be gone. The Middle East will be gone. And then they're coming for Europe.
Yesterday in your Truth Social, you called the Iranians crazy bastards.
True.
What is your response to critics who say that...
I don't care about critics.
What is your response to critics who say that it's your mental health that should perhaps be examined as this war continues?
I haven't heard that. But if that's the case, you're going to have more people like me, because our country was being ripped off on trade, on everything for many years until I came along. So if that's the case, you're going to have more people.
You said glory be to God in this conflict. Do you believe that God supports the United States' actions in this war?
I do, because God is good. Because God is good, and God wants to see people taken care of. God doesn't like what's happening. I don't like what's happening. Everyone says I enjoy it. I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy it. These two guys don't enjoy it. You know, people say, "Oh boy, they're so tough." I don't like seeing people killed. I've ended 8 wars. Nobody's ever done it. The person who won the Nobel Prize came to me and said, "You deserve the Nobel Prize." She announced that. When they announced, they said, "Goes to Maria. She's a great person, really a good person." She said, No. This is ridiculous. They gave me the Nobel Prize. President Trump ended 8 wars. I could go over every one of them, including India and Pakistan, where the Prime Minister of Pakistan said, President Trump saved from 30 to 50 million lives. That makes me much happier than what we're doing right now. That makes me much happier. We have one more to end, by the way.
All right. If he's crazy, I want to see what crazy looks like. Okay. That was a real American power that we just saw, folks, and we're going to get into it and more. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. As you watch this broadcast, it's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
And Shelly E.
Hi, everybody. We're back.
Yes, we are back. We've got a lot to cover, folks, tonight. So buckle up. Before we light this fire, do your part. Tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We are live here on YouTube. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcast or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. See, we already got the chat on fire. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. Folks, oh my gosh. So as you saw, that was just a snippet of the press conference that President Trump hosted today at the White House. Lots to talk. I don't even know where to begin. I don't even really know where to begin. So much has happened since our last live. We're starting out with, of course, Iran. Before we get into this, just quick, I want a quick, like 15-second. What do you mostly want to talk about tonight, Shelly? What do you want the people to hear before we get into all this news?
Oh, I want everyone to hear, and I'm so thankful that our soldiers, our troops have been rescued and they are back in American custody. That is the one thing that's top of the list for me.
What about you, Nicole? Top of the list.
Top of the list. God is good. God is good. And the USA is back, baby, in a big kind of way.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's get into it. So let's start off with this downed U.S. airman who was rescued after 48 hours behind enemy lines in Iran. I mean, this is one of the most impressive operations, at least I've seen ever, at least in a long time. After an F-15E was shot down over Iran, both crew members ejected. One was recovered quickly. The other, a colonel, was left deep inside Iranian territory. Okay. And for nearly 2 days, he evaded Iranian forces and he was rescued. Let's take a look at this. This is clip 2.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Rich Edson live in New York. The missing crew member from the F-15E fighter jet shot down over Iranian territory Friday has been rescued after an hours-long search. There was reportedly a heavy firefight before the crew members were taken safely out of Iranian territory. For now, and more on this, we go to our Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin on the phone, who's confirmed and reporting on the details of all of this. Jennifer.
Rich, that's right. I can confirm that the second crew member of the downed F-15E fighter jet has been rescued and that he and the members of the rescue team that extracted him from behind enemy lines in Iran are all safely out of Iran. That is according to 2 senior U.S. officials and multiple well-placed sources in the region.
Absolutely. This was an incredibly complex operation. I've been speaking with Israeli officials asking what role the Israelis played in this operation, and they continue to just give credit to the American forces, saying that when one pilot in the region is shot down, it's everyone's pilot and job to rescue them. What took place was nothing short of extraordinary. The CIA was using deception tactics on the ground to make the Iranians think that they'd already located the pilot. Remember, this second crew member was inside of enemy territory for almost 48 hours, and the Iranians were not only actively looking for this crew member on the ground, but they were also offering a reward of thousands of dollars to any Iranian civilians who could capture him and then take him into IRGC hands. The United States knew this was taking place, and so as these Iranian forces approached this crew member where they were hiding along a mountain ridge, according to Fox's Jennifer Griffin, there were strikes that took place against the Iranians to not only ensure that these forces couldn't reach the crew member, but also ensure that on the ground they couldn't get forces close to this location. Remember, when these pilots or crew members are ejecting from a plane, they have the systems within them that allow intelligence to track their location, but they have to be very careful, understanding they often just have a sidearm with them and they're not able to defend themselves solely on the ground. But what the president talked about last night in his post on Truth Social was that this crew member was never alone. The United States of America, including the president himself and top military leadership, each and every hour at the White House tracking the location of this crew member and then sending in hundreds of special forces, dozens of U.S. military planes to identify the exact location and ultimately rescue this U.S. service member.
You know, Trey.
Yeah. Shelley, I mean, this was an amazing rescue. Thank God they went back for him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I didn't think they would not go back. I'm just, number one, I'm glad it happened so quickly. Number two, of course, I was praying and I'm thinking like, okay, they both ejected, so they have to be quote unquote physics withstanding, you know, in the same vicinity where they ejected from. So again, it was not just courageous. I'm so thankful. I was just thanking the Lord. Thank you, Lord, that he was caught. He was captured, I guess, and rescued. So it was just, you know, it was an emotional time, a beautiful weekend, you know, Easter Sunday, Good Friday, all of that. It was just thankful to wake up to hear that.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts on this extraordinary rescue?
It was absolutely daring. You know, it harkened back to action movies. This is something that you would see Tom Cruise do. You know what I mean? Like in a movie, he ejects out of the plane. God is good. And there's Reaper drones over his head protecting him. I mean, all of the things that American movies are made of, right? When the good guy gets out of enemy hands and goes on to live a great patriotic life. This is what this actually was. And from some details from people that I know, they were saying that the president was actively involved in watching and making sure that these service members were okay. And I thought that was tremendous because I can't even, just listening to the story now is making me anxious. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, what happened? He was hiding in some kind of crevasse and people were looking for him. I mean, I'm just so thankful to God that it turned out the right way. I'm thankful for the people who built our technology so that those beacons actually work. Do you know what I mean? Like all the pieces that needed to come together came together in the right moment on the right weekend with the right president, and it all turned out great.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it was something. It was something to hear afterwards. And we know from many reports historically, President Trump is very, very he thinks it's important to bring back the troops. He does not want to lose any troops. Okay. So now what's going on now? We know tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow, as President Trump has said, Tuesday will be what he's called Power Plant Day and Bridge Day in Iran. Take a look here. This is clip 3.
And other outlets are reporting that Egyptian, Pakistani, and Turkish mediators have presented the United States and Iran with a proposed 45-day ceasefire plan that includes opening the Strait of Hormuz, which is far in the distance in the Persian Gulf behind me. Now, that proposal was reportedly sent to the U.S. and Iran last night. The Strait of Hormuz has become a key issue for any peace deal, as Iran is wreaking havoc on commerce and law-abiding ships trying to pass through that strait. Also last night, President Trump warning Iran of an 8 p.m. deadline tonight for Iran to come to the table, or there could be many U.S. attacks tomorrow. The president writing Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the blinking strait, you crazy blink, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. Now, over the weekend, I met in person here with Dr. Sanwar Gargash. He is referred to as His Excellency here in this country. He's an advisor to the president here. Dr. Gargash tells me that if the United States presents the right plan, the UAE, the country that we are in, will join the United States in using force on the Strait of Hormuz. Dr. Gargash saying, quote, "We're not ready to act as a maritime force, but we will join any American-led effort, international effort to secure navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. We are ready to play our part." Also, Dr. Gargash telling us that he considers the United States the UAE's greatest security ally, and that the UAE is ready to, quote, double down on its relationship with the United States right now.
All right, Nicole, I mean, President Trump, he just gave a clear threat tied to a timeline, and he mentioned specific targets. This has gotten mixed reaction. What are your thoughts?
Listen, he didn't give a threat. He gave them a promise.
Right.
Make no mistake. Make no mistake. He's done playing games with them. They've, said they want a deal and then they don't want a deal. This is what they have done for 47 years. They've been playing this, you can have it, but you can't have it game with the United States and the rest of the world, even other Islamic and Arab nations that surround them. When the UAE is saying, listen, if the United States comes in and they're going to secure the way that we all get all of our oil and all of our commerce done, then we're all in. That's better than the British. That's better than the French. I mean, this is a new day. It seems like President Trump's leadership is building new alliances around the world. And if those alliances prove to stand in the gap like they say they're going to stand in the gap, maybe this war can be over by the weekend. Maybe this can be, or this conflict, maybe this can be the end of that if everybody plays their part. And I'm hoping that it's that way. I'm hoping that they come to the table and they're for real this time, because if they're not, one of the people or the people who are going to pay the biggest price will be the citizens of Iran, because the power plant's gone. That means there's no power. The bridges are gone. That means they're stuck in their locations. And we already know what their government will do to them. I mean, they have no problem killing their own citizens. So it is definitely a harrowing thing. And I hope that we don't go there. I really hope that we don't have to go there. I hope they come to the table.
Yeah. Shelley, again, his comments have gotten mixed reactions. We're going to go to that next. But what do you think about this plan and his warning?
I think Iran is, I'm going to say they're on the edge. They're brokering. I'm glad to see the UAE is taking up a mantle of leadership, if you will. I understand Pakistan, Turkey, and maybe some other Middle East countries. If it's one thing that the Middle East And I'm talking about the moderate, quote unquote, more reasonable countries. If it's one thing that they want, it's stability. That's number one. Number two, there are, I don't know, over 1 billion people, if you will, in that area. Okay. So none of us wants mass death from starvation, dehydration. So in the Strait of Hormuz, however you say it, is one of 4 key international trading points, and we cannot, as a world, let alone a country, as a world, we cannot allow that key trading shipping lane, if you will, to be bombarded and overtaken by people or governments that are utterly irrational. You cannot do that. We have billions of other people in the world to think about, okay? Let alone, like Nicole said, they have no second thoughts about harming, murdering, slaughtering their own. So that's a key shipping lane that affects the world, not just oil, but the world in general, commodities, all kinds of things, okay? So that strait has to be, owned, if you will, certainly operated by more reasonable players. Let's say it that way.
Yeah, I agree. And this is why I don't understand why President Trump is getting this pushback. Since I have been born, every time we have some type of conflict in that area, it goes back to the Strait of Hormuz. Every time. And we go through this thing where we have issues with if there's a conflict and someone there, Iran or whatever, Iraq has do they close it down, then we see gas prices go up. We see the price of the housing market. All these things are affected by this area. It impacts global markets, as you mentioned, Shelley, energy prices, supply chains. This has been going on for many years. So to me, for once and for all, we need to take control of this. And this is why I think President Trump is doing a great thing here. All right. But he is getting such pushback. I mean, they're now calling him crazy because of this. Former Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene came out on Sunday with a scathing response to President Trump. She says here he is insane and not a Christian. Less than 2 hours later, she posted a screenshot of his post and says, on Easter morning, this is what President Trump posted. Everyone in his administration that claims to be a Christian needs to fall on their knees and beg forgiveness from God and stop worshiping the president and intervene in Trump's madness. She continued, I know all of you and him, and he has gone insane. All of you are complicit. Not to be outdone, Candace Owens came out. This is a satanic administration. We all realize that satanic Zionists occupy the White House, and Congress needs to move to have the Mad King Trump removed. All of our lives may depend upon other countries realizing that Trump is deeply unwell and surrounded by religious fanatics who have convinced him that he is a messiah. We are in uncharted territory. Leaders worldwide need to act accordingly. Nicole, what's your response to those two statements they made?
I usually don't talk to crazy folk. I make it a point. I don't mess with the help, and I don't mess with crazy folk. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, the moment that she lets go of all the illegals that work for her, then we can have a conversation. When she brings her company to ground zero, that means all of the illegals that do construction for her family, that helped her with her ranch and her farm. Once she gets to hiring an Americans, then we can sit and have a conversation. Until then, boo-hoo, 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 boo-hoo. Yeah, you were ousted for a reason, girlfriend. There was a reason he didn't back you. And, when that reason comes out, I can't wait to tell the audience of Poppin' Politics. I cannot wait to dance the happy dance that you're no longer involved in politics. Well deserved. Candace Owens is a lunatic. All the things that she said about Trump, if she held up a mirror, she would see herself. You talk about demonic. We know who she is. Her and all the demons from hell and all of the fake Christianity that she brings with her while she drags people for filth simply for existing and being. We haven't forgot who you are either. I don't mind them criticizing the president because as an American, That is all right. We can criticize the president. We can say unpleasant things about the president. We certainly can. But it is distasteful when this nation is in the middle of a conflict for people to be pulling this kind of crap. Wait till our war fighters come home. Wait until the thing is done. And then you can say, oh, the crazy King Trump, yada, 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 yada. But in the meantime, man, would it kill them? Would it kill them for 1 minute just to wrap themselves up in the stars and stripes and act like a grateful American? Would it kill them? I hope it does. I hope it does. I hope they choke on it.
Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts? I mean, we mentioned Candace Owens and Marjorie Taylor Greene, but there are some others that are pushing back on this plan of attack.
Yeah. So again, look, I saw that, I think the MTG tweet or whatever you call it. I didn't hear, or I didn't even know Candace Owens said anything. Not that I needed to. However, look, again, there is room for criticism. However, we are still, it's like the middle was like what, the 5th week. So there are going to be some ups and downs. You know, your nerves are going to go one way or the other. People are going to criticize. I'm at the point now where I'm tired of everything or everything being called demonic because you don't agree with it. I mean, it's like you can't, it's so I'm going to say hyper spiritualized that everything is demonic. If everything is demonic, then nothing really is, because it becomes blurred. The same thing we say about racism. Everything is racism, then what really is? Having said that, I will say this. I'm going to go on the record and saying this. I think this administration made a miscalculation, I'll call it. In that, because like you said, the Strait of Hormuz has been one of the key blockades for almost every time something goes wrong in the Middle East. I think they either miscalculated, underestimated, maybe the timeline, in that the strait would be held hostage, so to speak. So I think the administration needs to do and is doing some repairing, if you will, of that particular, maybe I'm going to call it a lapse in judgment. I just think it was a key mistake. I mean, this is a war. There will be some mistakes made. For some reason or another, I'm thinking this should have been an obvious plan of attack that should have been anticipated. That's as far as the strait being taken by Iran. So I don't know where the ball was dropped as far as the planning, but I'd say that is one area where there can be some reasonable, critical, if you will, critical discussion, debate, disagreement. Does that mean overall that we are still not doing a good job? No, it doesn't. Does it mean that I think President Trump, wants everybody dead and that he's demonic? No way, shape, or form. So again, this is war. It's ongoing. It's kinetic, as we say. And when you have kinetic activity, there will be some push, some pull, some ups and down, back and forth. And the plan is going to always have to be analyzed along the way as well.
Now, Nicole, let me ask you, because as I mentioned, we know that anytime there is activity in the Middle East, the Strait of Hormuz comes into play. They blockade it, they stop it, and it becomes a situation. So, but I don't know, are we seeing that they didn't calculate this, or what are you thinking there on that part?
Well, I don't think it was that they didn't calculate it, because the president addressed it, and I think Marco Rubio addressed it early on. Their expectation was for the NATO allies, because the stuff that the United States gets from there, we can live without. We have our own oil, we got our own spices. But for the nations that are in Europe, who are a little bit more dependent, people in that region who are a little bit more dependent, I think their thought process was that the people who have the most to gain would jump in and say, hey, we're not going to hold all of our stuff hostage. But what we have seen is our traditional allies are weak. They're limp-wristed. I mean, I've been saying for years, NATO is a waste of our time and money. I mean, if we're going to protect the world, we shouldn't donate. Everybody should just be paying us. But when it came down to it, when it was time for the British to bring their, notorious stiff upper lip, they did not. France, gave us the thumbs down almost immediately. And these are supposed to be our best friends in the whole wide world. And what we're seeing again is that the world is becoming different. There are new alliances being built. I would really love to see the nations that surround the Strait of Hormuz to stand up and fight back. But again, I really do think after decades and decades and decades of being downtrodden and told that they can't, It's kind of like Stockholm syndrome. They don't believe that they can. They really don't. So I would really like to see them step up in a major kind of way, or at least in some kind of way come to the party. Because again, from my perspective as a conservative person, I don't want us to police the world. We got enough problems policing the folk that we got, here living in our homeland. I don't want to do that. But this was a once in a lifetime opportunity to take out somebody who has terrorized the entire world, terrorized everybody who's when you think about the Houthis, 10 years ago, who was talking about Houthis? Yemen has come alive with these little splinter cells of different things. And that came from those pallets of money where we were trying to buy their friendship. Sometimes, well, most times you can't negotiate with terrorists. You can't. All they understand is brute force. And there's no reason for us not to show them who we are. This is the time. Everybody else has to stand up. And I think that's what happened. At least from what my understanding is, they were expecting allies to act like allies. And, they did not.
And also, let's take a look at, folks, is anybody going to look at President Trump's track record? Is anybody going to give this man a little bit of leeway, of credit? All right. We've seen all of the deals and as he mentioned at the top of the show, the conflicts that he has intervened in and has brought to a close, or at least some type of deal. We go back to Gaza, the Gaza ceasefire. He brought the hostages home. Okay. We're talking about the de-escalation between Israel and Iran initially, after the exchanges there. India and Pakistan, the Armenian and the Azerbaijan. The list goes on. The Rwanda and the Congo conflict, Thailand and Cambodia, Serbia and Kosovo. He has really, these aren't just things I'm throwing out here, folks. Look it up, research these conflicts. He has been pivotal in the closure and the and agreements within many of these conflicts. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so let's just give him some time to do the work.
It's only been a year. This is my whole point. This man has fostered more world peace in 1 year than our last 8 to 10 presidents. Right. Mostly because he had to. He inherited a world that was on fire, that everybody was at everybody's neck, and coming in and bringing with him his negotiation skills and a badass military. That helps a lot. I think he was able to broker peace where people were like, I'm not even talking to that person anymore. He brought them to the table. And one of the things I'm hoping for is that the United States starts to kind of sunset this Ukrainian thing. Mm-hmm. He was in the news this weekend too, talking about he hopes this conflict in Iran is over quickly so it doesn't interfere with him buying Patriot missiles from the United States. At some point, we're gonna have to cut him off, y'all. At some point, we're gonna have to cut him off. Not another nickel.
Well, I want to cut the UN, NATO, all these people off. I want to cut us off, or them off of our tit, or however it goes. But let's see what else super chat. We have a few super chatters here. Welcome back, everybody.
Yes.
CJ. Thank you for your $2 super chat. To God be the glory. Prophecy is being fulfilled. Thank you for stopping by, Kung Fu CJ. Hi, Josh. Thank you for your $20 super chat. I'm more convinced of President Trump's strategy than ever. He knew NATO, UK, EU was out to get him. Mm-hmm. Nicole is right. We have a new world of sovereign nations of similar values emerging. Israel, Russia, Hungary, UAE, etc.
Yes,
thank you, Josh. And we have Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Super chat. I am proud of President Trump. Thank you for that. Thank you for all. Look, you all, it's Monday. It's the first Monday that we are back here. Is it the first Monday in April for us? I think so.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, because the first was a Wednesday. So, first Monday in April. We need you to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, or those buttons, I should say, plural. Those buttons, hit them. Go get your merchandise. Go to www.metroconservativemedia.com. You can shop there. You have so many ways to contact and connect with us. And remember, we have a Discord channel as well. And I know many of you are on there popping off. We love it. We love it. We thank you so much. And thank you for coming back with us today on a Monday.
Absolutely. All right. I think we got one more super.
Yes, we have one more super chat. That is Justin Green. Thank you for your $2 super chat. Boo hoo, boo hoo. Nicole kills me. Nicole kills me.
Right.
LMA. Thank you, Justin. Thank you for stopping by.
Yes.
And we have one more, Tyrone Davis. Thank you for your $5 super sticker, Tyrone. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Tyrone. Thank you. You guys, we missed you so much. It was ridiculous. It's hard to remember what my life was like before I started doing pop. So I started doing all the things I used to do. I prefer to do pop. I'm gonna just tell you. The rest of the world is just too much for me. The people are just too peoply. They're just doing way too much. But if you go into the Discord tomorrow, I'm going to post some of the pictures of my week without you guys. It was almost boring. It was almost unbearably boring. Almost. Got real close to being boring. But get your merchandise. This is what I want to say. April 15th is coming. If you don't get your shirt before then, no problem. Get your shirt after. Give me my money back. Take the picture and let us post it. Post it in the Discord so we could all talk about how cute or handsome you look in your merchandise. We really appreciate it, and is a great way to support the show. Also, summer is coming. Spring is here. For those of us who are allergy sufferers, they do have a crossbody bag where you can keep all your Zyrtec, your nose spray, your tissues, and still, support the channel. So go in and take a look at what we have. Stickers, we have t-shirts, crossbodies, hoodies, pillows. I mean, we have anything that you can think of. And again, a great way to support the show. You're helping us and you get great merchandise out of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to go back a little bit. As we mentioned, what Candace Owens said about the administration, they're satanic, these satanic Zionists and all this type of stuff. And, I think again, we don't, you can't really base anything off of what Candace Owens says, okay, these days. She's a nut. She's twisted. But I want to shoot back at that because, folks, for the first time, I believe ever, we have a president in the White House that talks about Jesus Christ. I mean, many presidents in the past have said, God, they may say God in general, but President Trump has mentioned Jesus multiple times. I don't know any other president, at least in my lifetime, that has really, talked about the gospel, about biblical principles like President Trump has. And he did it over Easter weekend, folks. Take a look here. This is clip 5.
Friday, the Son of God was nailed to the cross, crucified, and he died for all of us. It was a day of darkness, but it wasn't the end. By any means, it was not the end. On Easter Sunday, the stone was rolled away and the grave was empty. Christians everywhere rejoiced, and
hallelujah.
We continue to rejoice. Easter is one of the incredible days. It was the miracle in all of history, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It was the great miracle, I guess, right? He told his followers, I am with you always, even to the end of the age, because of the events of Holy Week 20 centuries ago. People from every nation, language, and background can take on any difficulty, press through any trial, and endure any hardship. With Christ, not one thing can separate humanity from the powers of God's everlasting love. Across the generations, what happened on Easter has inspired his followers to love one another, to forgive, to do works of charity, and build the beautiful churches. And we have some of the most beautiful buildings in the world. To me, churches, I love great architecture, and we have some of the most beautiful churches. Christians have opened schools, ministries, and hospitals on every continent to teach care and heal those in need, and they do it with love, and they do it with great affection.
All right. Now, let me say this. I am not here to say whether or not President Trump is a Christian, okay? That is not my call, and it's not really anybody's call. That's between him and God, all right? But what I will say is what he said right there is biblical. That's Bible right there, all right? And I don't know whether he's a Christian. I don't know whether if God, I do know God is using him. God is using him to spread the gospel, to spread scripture, to spread the word of God. All right. And I love it. And as I mentioned, he's the first president that I can recall to do it like he's doing it. Okay. I mean, that's an Easter message. That's not just Easter, that's a Resurrection Sunday message. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I have no issue with it. So for someone like Candace Owens or whoever to say, he's a satanic Zionist and this man is this and that. No. Okay. I love it. And I hope he continues to do it. But ladies, what are your thoughts on that, Shelley?
Yeah, I mean, he basically gave the gospel. Mm-hmm. He certainly did it on Good Friday, Easter Saturday, Easter Sunday weekend. Why would it not? I don't understand. Even let's just say this. Even if someone did not, it was not a Christian or they didn't believe it, it's still I guess I would say the appropriate thing to do. Christianity is the major religion in the United States of America. He is our president. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he says he's a Christian or not. I know people debate that. Like, I'm like you. It's not for me to decide. However, he presented the gospel. Whether or not he's at a place right now, I don't know. But millions of people heard that. Not only in America, that message has gone around the world. Because whenever the president of the United States speaks, it goes around the world. So other people have heard that message as well. And, maybe they will come to accept the Bible, accept Christ and start, reading their Bible. I don't know, but it can be used of God. And why would it not? Mm-hmm. It's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts there?
It's interesting because this became an issue. His religion, his version of faith in God, became an issue on the campaign trail, Trump 2.0, where they were saying that him saying shortly, I think it's after the first attempt on his life in Pennsylvania, he was saying that God spared him, that God saved him. He said it at the convention. God saved him to make America great again. And people say, oh, he's just saying that because it's politically, expedient. It's going to get him, the evangelical right is going to jump in. I think he talks like somebody who's probably non-denominational, like he doesn't tick a box for any particular team, but he's a Christian in the truest sense of the word, that he's a follower of Christ. Mm-hmm. I don't think that he follows any particular sect, but again, judging him solely based on his words, he is a follower of Jesus Christ. And I think having an American president say that in this world where we're having so much turmoil and radical Islam spreading across the world like a fungus, I think it is very important for him to take that stance. And I'm also very proud that he has no problems talking about his faith in Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. And it's not our job to judge his salvation. Mm-hmm. That's what all I'm saying is the Bible is clear. Only God knows the heart. All right. Absolutely. And so for us, at least for us as Bible believers, I am thankful that he's doing it. That's what I am thankful that he is doing it. And I pray that God does move in his heart, that, the Holy Spirit connects with him and that he, does give his life to Christ. I do. But in the meantime, folks, of us who are Bible believers, thank you, President Trump, for sharing. Thank you. And as you mentioned, Shelley, I mean, goodness, this is going out all over the world. All over the world, people are hearing, and it may be for the first time. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So
I want to address this comment real quick. Driver's seat. He said, whomever says he should have spoke to God before he started dropping bombs on innocent people. And this is what I'm going to say to that. Many people say that they spoke to God and God told them this, God told them that. So driver's seat. Number one, I don't know that President Trump did not speak to God. Okay. My assumption is that he prays and talks to God just like millions of us do. And because in our human form, maybe he got the message, if you will, to do something that maybe you just don't agree with, or vice versa. It could go anyway. This happens all the time. And he's not dropping bombs on innocent people just indiscriminately. That is such a distortion, and that's putting it mildly. You make it seem as though he's out there just, dropping bombs wantonly, so, if you will, and that's not true. You really should think about that, because it really says something else. It says more about you than it does President Trump, okay? have innocent people, civilians died as a result of what's going on? Absolutely. People who are not in control of their government, they don't get to make the decisions. But the aim, you always have to remember the aim. The intentions, sometimes intentions go awry. But when he's not doing this intentionally to target innocent people, okay, the people who have lost their lives, we all should, say a prayer for them, grieve for them, whatever the case may be. But that's not what President Trump is doing. That is such a distortion. It is so, I don't know, cold, if you will, to just put that out there like that.
It's this false premise that Jesus was a pacifist and that we as Christians or in the Bible does not talk about war. Folks, we living in a fallen world. War exists, all right? And the Bible doesn't pretend war isn't real. It's in Ecclesiastics. I don't know the chapter, but it's a time for war, a time for peace, okay? We know this. So you can't just sit here and say that, these things aren't going to happen. They happen. We just pray that you have someone at the helm that is going to, do things, as you mentioned, Shelley, in decency and in order. And that's going to, cause the least amount of harm, that someone that's not just here to just cause all types of carnage. That's what we pray for.
All conflicts, all wars have rules of engagement, right? And those rules of engagement, people go out of their way to follow those rules of engagement. Maybe 2 weeks ago, they were showing pictures of, I think it's maybe the third or fourth wave of Iranian leaders dressing up like women. They're walking around in the full garb because the rules of engagement is you don't hurt the women. No women, no children, right? It was unfortunate, however, that some of the women felt like, these men who were dressing up as women, they're covering themselves up with the hijab and all of that thing, that they were, kind of making fun of them, making fun of what they had forced upon them as 7-year-olds and have been living with their whole life, that this is the way that they thought that they were presenting themselves to the world in a modest kind of way. To have your brand new elected leaders dressed up like you so they could hide from the Israeli army and hide from the United States kind of hit a button with them. So it's not that they're looking for, just anybody to kill, because I'm going to give you some plain, hard, good old American truth. If that were the case, this would have been a 1-hour war. We have the capability to remove them from the planet. Make no mistake. And this is the reason why we don't want them to have the ability to take somebody else off the planet. So yes, in war, it's ugly and people do get hurt. Innocent people do die. Just like when we were attacked in 9/11, innocent people died. Just like Iran and their proxies have killed Americans all over the world. Innocent people die. And it's not something that anybody relishes. It is unfortunate when conflict happens, innocent people often get caught in the crossfire. So I get that, protecting innocent life is important, but I'd rather, if I had to, sacrifice the 5 to save 5 billion. And that's just being really, really honest. I mean, it's a tough thing. I wish everybody could live a happy life and we could all get along and kumbaya and burn incense and all that kind of thing. But that's not the world we live in. And when they say death to America, that's not like a pie in the sky kind of thing. That's a mantra. That's something that they teach their children, that they grow up on. We have to defend our homeland. And I know for some people, defending our homeland sounds kind of xenophobic, like we don't like other people. It's not that. We want to live in peace. And we're going to see to it, even if it means if innocent people get caught in the crossfire.
Right. And guess what? You brought up a very good point, because the Bible calls us to be peacemakers, not peacekeepers, folks. People get that mixed up. The Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. But again, biblical peace is not passive. All right. We are here to protect, and again, in a fallen world, sometimes you do that with strength. All right. But peace it's not just about the absence of violence. It's right relationships restored through truth and love. But we got to be strong and we have to face evil. We stand up to it. You don't back up. You don't run from it. You stand up to it. And that's what people need to, really take heed of. They need to pay attention to that. So, folks, we just wanted to relay that. I think we have some super chatters here.
Yeah, we do. We have a couple here. Laura's back again. Thank you for your $5, Laura. She says, I love Poppin' Politics family, and I miss y'all when y'all are not here, when you're not here. Thank you, Laura. We miss you too. Josh is back. Thank you for your $20 super chat. I think President Trump is like a lot of white Protestant people from the Northeast, also known as WASPs, where evangelism was discouraged and Bible study was not emphasized, but his heart has led him back to faith because of his life experiences. And Josh, you can put a pin in that because that happens to millions of people every day.
It does.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah. It really does.
Absolutely.
Here I was thinking that the Speaker of the House was a WASP too, Josh. For you guys know what I've said about Speaker Johnson, but come to find out, he's Italian. Who knew? Who knew he was Italian? Right? Blew me completely away. Changed my opinion just a little bit. Just a little bit.
And let's talk about who we're fighting here, folks. So we mentioned that there's a big deadline coming up tomorrow. Take a look here. This is clip 4.
We have a plan because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition by 12 o'clock. And it'll happen over a period of 4 hours if we wanted to. We don't want that to happen. We may even get involved with helping them rebuild their nation. And you know what? If that's the case, the last thing we want to do is start with power plants, which are among the most expensive thing, and bridges. You saw the bridge. The bridge went. We were very close to a deal. And then I got a call from Mr. Witkoff, Mr. Kushner, and JD saying, I think they're breaking the deal. I said, tell them that's okay. Don't worry about it. But tell them to look out their window and watch. And within 45 minutes, I gave the order to knock out the biggest bridge. I gave the order, knock out the biggest bridge in, I believe, the Middle East, but the biggest bridge in Iran. And within 10 minutes after I gave that order, that bridge was over. So do I want to do that? No. Do I want to destroy their infrastructure? No. It will take them 100 years to rebuild. Right now, if we left today, it would take them 20 years to rebuild their country, and it would never be as good as it was. And the only way they're going to be able to rebuild their country is to utilize the genius of the United States of America.
All right. But does he want to do it? No. Will he? Damn right. And look at this next clip. So he said that today, and this is what Iranian state TV is calling for now. Clip 8.
در اطراف نیروگاه‌های برق کشور زنجیره انسانی جوانان تشکیل می شود. علیرضا رحیمی دبیر شورای عالی جوانان و نوجوانان کشور در پی پیشنهاد جوانان خلاق و فعالان گروه‌های مردمی از جوانان و چهره‌های فرهنگی، هنری و ورزشی دعوت کرد برای تشکیل زنجیره انسانی در اطراف نیروگاه‌های برق کشور در ساعت 14 حضور پیدا کنند.
Just so for you guys who may be listening, they're calling for people to stand out, particularly kids,
young people,
to stand out in front of these power plants. Here, we're going to continue.
از همه جوانان، ورزشکاران، هنرمندان، بچهای دانشجو و دانشگاهی و اساتیدمون دعوت میکنم فردا سه‌شنبه ساعت 2 ظهر دور نیروگاه‌هایی که داشته و سرمایه ملی ما هستند، بدون توجه به هر سلیقه و دیدگاه سیاسی، مال آینده ایران و مال جوانان ایرانی هستند. جمع بشن.
So then he went on to include students, faculties, people. They want them to stand out in front of these power plants because Trump has said that he may bomb them. Nicole, what are your thoughts there?
Well, two things. One, that this is propaganda. What they'll likely do is go door to door, gather the youth, and chain them together around their power plants. Because again, this is who they are. They have no qualms about killing their own. None whatsoever. However, you know, President Trump is probably a little bit smarter than they're giving him credit for. You know, that timeline, did he say it was Eastern Standard Time? Did he say it was going to be Central, Mountain? You know, I don't think he gave them a particular point in time where that's the only time that it can happen. Maybe it happens a little before. Maybe it happens much, much later in the day. He's not going to tell them, as he has during this entire conflict, what the playbook is, chapter and verse. He's not going to tell us what the playbook is, chapter and verse, until after it's over, especially with all the leaks that come out of the swamp. He's not going to tell you very specifically, but I think what he's doing, at least from my perspective, what I see is that they're close to a deal, and Iran is trying to do what it usually does, trying to back up. And he's saying, no, you back up this time, there's going to be some consequences. So, you know, getting everybody chained to a bridge, getting everybody chained to a power plant at 2:00 might be a little late. Maybe he's going to bomb y'all Pacific. You never know. It might be 2-3 hours early, and there won't be anything left for you to chain yourself to.
Yeah, my goodness. Shelley, what are your thoughts here?
Oh, so when I was listening to that President Trump earlier, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, President Trump, he's saying too much. He's running his mouth again, right? I mean, they just, you know how he goes. He just lets them say anything. I was thinking that, but then I said, okay, now why would he put all of that out there so specifically? I went back and forth. So number one, the U.S. has offered a ceasefire, a 15-point plan, and so far my last read of it is that Iran pushed back, and they have a 10-point proposal. So they're going back and forth. That's number one. Number two, if Iran moves people, because we have satellites and imagery and all that thing, you can see movement, if you will. That's going to be, I don't know, hundreds of millions of people moving, young people. They have a pretty young population, you know, demographically speaking. So that's going to be a lot of movement. Number three, if they do that, it will give us an idea, a better idea, a more specific idea of where the power plants are. Okay. I don't believe, this is just my belief. I do not believe when you take in the Geneva Convention, the war, the regulations around war, things like that. I do not believe our military is going to target. They're not going to target innocents, but they're going to send targets where they know millions of young people are. I just don't believe that. Okay. And I hope I'm right. So I don't believe that that's what they're going to do. I think they're using this to stir up some movement in Iran amongst, again, so we can see it, satellite imagery, whatever, and we can get better honing in information, and then whatever may come after the fact. That's what I'm thinking. That's just what my gut and my senses are telling me, because I'm thinking President Trump, you saying a little bit too much.
Show his hand. Yeah, he's not going to show his hand like that.
Yeah, you're probably right. I pray you're right as well. But folks, let me tell you something. I mean, and I've said this on here before, you know, back in the day, you know, I was a scrapper. Okay. I was a scrapper. And, you know, there is no rules in war and there's no rules in fighting for me. All right. You know, I don't, if somebody is coming for my family, if I am threatened, I will do anything I can to protect myself. Okay. Not just myself, but if you are threatening the generations to come, you know, this is it, folks. It is ugly. It gets ugly. All right. But again, I pray that this is not the case, as you all have mentioned. I pray that, because not only do we have Iranian lives on the line, but we have our troops and military on the line. Okay, so I do, but I don't understand where some of these people, not you ladies, but you know, in the chat and you know these people who are talking about this. Where you, what world are you all living in? This is, if anything, this kind of situations, these types of conflicts are just going to get uglier. Thank God we have technology that has made it a lot less grittier, you know, and we're able to pinpoint these things with very good precision, so we don't have as many casualties. The issue here, the people that we're fighting are putting people in the way, you know, in harm's way. you know, and so that is something. The same thing was going on with Israel and Gaza. That's what the issue here is. So,
I mean, what you didn't hear him say, KJ, was we're going to put all of our soldiers around these things. They specifically picked young people because they know no one is going to want to kill the youth of Iran. No one wants to kill a youth of any nation. This is their future. This is their legacy to move forward. And you know, Butterbean had it right. They're not looking for volunteers. They're going to go out and round folk up, whether you want to be chained, you know, to a bridge or not. That's what they're going to do. It's just unfortunate, but you know, the people who are actively saying that, you know, we're going out and we're trying to kill innocents and that kind of thing, these are people who enjoy. I mean, it's just an absolute privilege to live in a nation where you can critique and criticize 100% within your rights to do so, but the peace that you go to bed at night as an American and wake up as an American. I'm telling you something, other places in the world don't have that. They don't. This is really and truly a blessing to live in this nation.
That blanket of freedom.
Yes. And Shelley, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't recall in history any where tribe or other state to state, country to country governments did things like this to the adversary. So they would, you know, if they were warned that we're coming to bomb you or we're coming to invade you, and you had civilizations putting their innocence in front of different places.
No. I mean, I'm not aware of any.
We as Americans don't do that, right?
I think they did it in ancient Sparta. The Sparta, they would sacrifice their children. The Sparta, and if I'm not mistaken, in the Mayan and ancient civilizations, because children were seen, again, they were the perfect sacrifice, if you will, right?
Wait, what do you mean sacrifice? What do you mean?
They would literally in Sparta, they would send children out to die. I mean, and they would put children out. They were like, because they were kind of like they would be like the bell, if you will. They would give the signal, okay, the children go out first. If the children can't defend themselves, then that's the bell for the rest of the people to take on arms, if you will. So it was some in Sparta, the Mayans. Look, ancient civilization, ain't all of that.
But what I'm saying is they would do what Iran and Palestine did, where they would place children around sensitive structures that they would think would be okay. They think would be
what I'm
wrong.
saying is that there's a difference between Western civilization and in modern times. Children were not seen always as we see them today. Okay. So the ideology and the mindset about children is totally different. Thank God for Judeo-Christian values in Western civilization, because we are the ones who, because of our heritage, if you will, we have placed the value, the human value, the dignity, the imago Dei on children, to say that they have their own inherent value, you know, as human beings created in an image of God. So that's the mindset, that's the worldview, if you will. But again, we putting children out. It's again, this says more about Iran, the Iranian regime, if you will. It says more about them than it does our military.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, they're archaic. I mean, at some point, you know, again, this is just a play on what they know we value. You know, Americans, dead soldiers, you know, it's just a casualty of war, right? But dead babies, that's a little harder to sell. It's definitely harder to sell. But knowing this regime, after they've already killed 35,000 of their young people who were in the streets just yelling at their government, they weren't, you know, breaking into buildings or doing any of the stuff that people here in the United States do. They were just protesting, walking down the streets, screaming, shaking their fists. And for that, they died. They died. 35,000 of their own youth. They had no problems mowing them down. And the ones who escaped and went home were dragged out of their beds and killed in the street like dogs. This is who this regime is. They don't have any respect for life, none whatsoever. The only thing that has given me peace throughout this whole conflict is when I think of how devastating the leaders of that particular nation have been to not just Americans, but people all over the world. They have harassed, harangued, murdered, slaughtered, raped, and pillaged anybody that came into contact with them. So at some point, the world's got to draw a line. And I'm glad it's us. I'm glad it's us because it's not going to last forever. I'm glad it's us because it'll be over fast. I'm glad it's us because somebody has to be the protector of peace in this world. Somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some super chatters here.
We do. We have a couple of super chatters here. Thank you all again. Hit that like, share, and subscribe out there in popping land and keep popping off. We have our super chatters here. Butterbean, thank you for joining us tonight for your $10 super chat. They're not calling the people, they are ordering them. The regime doesn't care. Absolutely. Kung Fu CJ, thank you for your $2 again. We are not at war. War is when the army gets in.
Wait, 1 minute. I want to ask. Yeah.
That's not true.
Oh, you okay?
That's not true.
That's not true. We're at war. What do you think?
I'm calling it a war. Yes, I call it a war. I call it a war because there are legal, political, all kinds of constitutional, if you will. People call it war, excursion, conflict, kinetic activity, whatever. We are at war. We have another nation that we are a partnering or allied with, and we are, taking aim, if you will, at another regime. I call it a war, but whether I call it a war or not, whatever you want to call it, whether or not the army gets in does not make the determination.
The determination is the declaration from Congress, right? The declaration from Congress makes it a quote unquote war. And there has been no such declaration. This is a military exercise, a conflict, all of the other pseudonyms for war without congressional approval.
Right.
This is what this is.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking too. Because like you mentioned, there's no declaration, there's no full scale engagement. We're not occupying the area. We're talking about focus targets, as I mentioned earlier. We haven't done any nation building or anything like that. It's not Iraq. We're not talking about Afghanistan yet. So that's why I was thinking it's not a war either. Yeah,
I just call those are just euphemisms. Since I've actually been in a war, those are just euphemisms.
I want to say just one thing that Trump did say that made a bunch of us lift our eyebrows pretty high was when he said, if we have to do nation building, and conservatives don't like that. We don't want to build no nations. We still raggedy over here, family. We got to sweep around our own front door before we start rebuilding nations. I think the best case scenario with so many Arab partners joining in this new coalition to kind of bring Iran and that tyrannical terrorist regime under heel is that all of those nations are fairly wealthy and they can help rebuild, Iran. It won't be on the United States dollar, and it definitely won't be with American boots on the ground. That's going to be a buzzkill for all of us. Y'all know I love me some President Trump, but there's one line that I will not cross willingly, and that's us building somebody else's nation when our nation is literally under attack from within. So we cannot.
Yeah. All right, folks, sound off in the chat. Let us know what you all think. Do you think do you call this a war? Is this a war in your eyes, or is this a targeted attack, or what do you call an escalation? What do you call it? Let us know in the chat. Sound off, and we'll definitely shout out your comments. All right. So moving right along, I want to go on move on to a more positive note here and talk about the Artemis 2 launch, folks. All right. So as you all know, there's been an incredible moment as Artemis 2 is getting closer and closer to the moon. I don't know where they are at this moment. But we do know that, they are, while all this is happening on Earth with this war and things, they are moving full. They're underway, marking the first crewed mission beyond low Earth orbit in over 50 years. Well, the face of this has been an astronaut by the name of Victor Glover. Wow, I love this guy. You want to talk about I may say Victor Glover for president. I'm just being funny, but this guy is such an inspiration. Take a look at this clip. This is clip 1.
I'm glad you brought that up, though. I think these observances are important, and as we are so far from Earth and looking back at, you know, the beauty of creation, I think for me, one of the really important personal perspectives that I have up here is I can really see Earth as one thing. And, you know, when I read the Bible and I look at all of the amazing things that were done for us who were created, it's, you have this amazing place, this spaceship. You guys are talking to us because we're in a spaceship really far from Earth, but you're on a spaceship called Earth that was created to give us a place to live in the universe, in the cosmos. I think maybe the distance we are from you makes you think what we're doing is special, but we're the same distance from you. And I'm trying to tell you, just trust me, you are special. In all of this emptiness, this is a whole bunch of nothing, this thing we call the universe. You have this oasis, this beautiful place that we get to exist together. I think as we go into Easter Sunday, thinking about, you know, all the cultures all around the world, whether you celebrate it or not, whether you believe in God or not, this is an opportunity for us to remember where we are, who we are, and that we are the same thing, and that we got to get through this together.
Well, for someone who didn't have anything prepared, that was really quite extraordinary.
Wow. So that was his Easter message. Shelley, what are your thoughts on this Artemis 2 and the pilot of Artemis 2, Victor Glover?
I like Victor Glover myself. I think he's so upbeat and optimistic, and just he seems like he's just a generally just nice guy all around, right? But when he said that, it made me think of I actually thought of something. Number one, when I travel, when I fly, one of the things I do, I try to get a picture of every time we're in air, right? It's just something I like to do, because what he was talking about, when you are you know, you can be at a, what they call sort of a bird's eye, and then you can have this, I don't know, 100,000 foot distance to see things. It makes you just have a sense of awe. Like, wow, like, you know what? Like, I'm just this small little creature. Not that God doesn't think I'm important. Not that, you know, not any of that. But it's like there's a bigger purpose, if you will, right? I mean, just think of the vastness of the universe. Your mind can't imagine it. You can't contain it. It's so huge. You don't know where it ends, where it starts. We were never, that's one of the secrets of God, if you will, mysteries. But he brought me right back to, I wrote it down here in my notes, Psalm 8. Psalm 8. You know, when I think of your works and the hand, you know, your hands of your work, the works of your hand, and the vastness of the universe, how little am I compared to what God has built throughout this universe, to keep saying a word. But it was so inspiring what he said. It was just beautiful. It was just a simple, beautiful message that he gave.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts?
I love it. You know, I love every minute of it. One of the reasons why I love going to the beach, because standing in front of the ocean, if that doesn't humble you, if that doesn't make you feel like one of those little pebbles of sand, there's something wrong with you. Let me tell you, the roar of the ocean and how it comes just to right here and stops and goes back to its place. You know, there are very few times as an American where our life slows down enough where we can stop and kind of quote unquote smell the roses, you know, really bask in the glory of God. Whether you're a Bible believing Christian, you're not a Christian at all, there's something about a kid laughing, a baby laughing, that just does something to you. It's something about standing next to the ocean when you're flying and you catch a cloud, or you're above the clouds, you know, when you take off and it's storming and then you get above the clouds and it's bright and sunny, it does something to you as a human being. It charges something in you. So I can only imagine what that feels like in space. I mean, this man's going on around the dark side of the moon. The stories he's going to tell when he comes back is going to be amazing. And I'm so looking forward to hearing more from him when they land.
Yeah. I loved it because you don't hear scientists type people talk about the Bible and God. Like, generally speaking, you like, even like doctors, like surgeons, doctors, they are so they believe, they don't have this God complex, you know. And they believe in that they're doing so much, that they're so skilled, that they generally push back against the idea of a creator, at least from my experience. And the same thing with some of these, like, you know, astrophysicists, scientists type people. So for him to say that, I just loved it. I really did. And we have another video of what's going on right now. Let me see here. I don't know if the producers can play this.
While you're getting that up, Nicole, what you said, the baby laughing. That is that's one of my all-time tests. If hearing a baby have one of those guttural laughs doesn't make you laugh, I think something's wrong with you.
Absolutely.
I don't care if it's online, you don't know the baby, but just to hear it.
Yeah. Let me see here. I don't know if we have this. Well, they new reports out just now that Artemis is passing the moon. Here we have it here. We do have it ready just so you guys can see this quick clip. So it looks like, there we go. They are just passing close to the moon.
Wow.
Look at that.
Just like we can see this. We can see them doing this now. I mean, wow. It's just, woo. Would you all want, anybody out there in chat land, would you all want to go to space? Would y'all want to go?
Oh, I'd go. Girl, you know I'd go. Well, let me get my pocketbook. We can leave tonight, Shells. Let's go. I would love to go. That's my kind of adventure. And Jared Isaacman, who is the new NASA chief, billionaire whiz kid kind of guy, boy, he's got a plan for NASA. He's got a plan for the American space program that is just tremendous. He dreams really, really big. I mean, huge kind of big. He's looking for American dominance in this field. And listening to Glover tells me that he's got some warriors on his side. Let's go, America. Wow. They're talking about going back to the moon, eventually going to Mars. That's big stuff.
Madeline really says she's good down here.
Yeah, me too. I am too. Speaking of that, let me ask you ladies your opinions on this and the chat. So there are some critics of this space exploration, the space travel. Some people are saying, why are we doing this when, we have so many problems here, so many ways we could use the money that is being used to go to the moon and do space exploration here on Earth. Why do we do this? What's the point? What are your thoughts there, Shelley?
Because Russia is doing it.
That's what I said. Told somebody.
It's another space race because Russia is doing it, and I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, and don't get me wrong, there's some. Of course, there's a whole lot of science and scientific endeavors, things like that, but primarily because Russia's doing it.
and you know what else? For me, for people who are like me, it's the adventure of it, right? It's the next thing. It's like you don't see them asking why people go in a submarine, why people want to see what's at the bottom of the ocean. It is human curiosity, and the ingenuity that it took to get that far. Do we ever say, man, we should have never invented cars. Look at all this pollution. Then we had to make all these roads. Every invention drives the next invention. And this is how mankind thrives. This is how mankind grows. Listen, I want to see them go to every available planet. I want them to look, see, bring back some water, some rocks, grow some plants, all of that. Let's go. God gave us the universe for a reason.
Yeah. It was my aunt. I was with her today, most of the day. And she was saying how she's not a Trump supporter. And that may have kind of molded her comments, but she was saying how this is man trying to be God, and why are we in space when we have so many issues here? So she was like, the money we're using to go to space, why aren't we using this to do things here on Earth? So I wanted to see what you ladies thought.
I agree with your aunt in one point. Give us our money back. That's what I agree with your aunt there. Because give us our money back, not necessarily because of going to space, no, but just give us our money back because we do waste a lot of our money. And let me remind you, we are 9 days away from April the 15th, the day that every hardworking, saving, scraping American has to demonstrate to our government that we are not keeping our own money.
Yeah, we have another clip here, folks, of this amazing venture So
Oh,
as you
look
can
how
see,
beautiful.
this is the highest quality video of the moon ever released. Yep, they just got
Whoa.
that. Yeah.
So those are those craters they were talking about, those dark red spots in the elevation, I guess, are the black spots. Man. Yeah, I'd
Wow.
go. I'd
Yeah.
go. I'll bring you something back, KJ. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah.
A handbag, something.
All right. So there you have it, folks. Yeah, so I just pray that the crew and everybody gets back here safely. It's a 10-day mission. So just praying that they come back safely as they left.
Man, this is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's just, I keep my flag handy just for these kind of moments. Let's go, America. That's just beautiful. That is an amazing. Look how far we've come from these grainy, scratchy pictures of them going to the moon the first time, when people said they didn't really go to the moon and they were just in a television studio. Look at how beautiful this is now. The technology has come so far. I'm so proud of us.
I got a little trivia here, and I will caveat. I hope I'm saying it correctly because I learned this myself. Okay, like I don't know as an adult. So when we say a full moon, we're really only seeing half of it because the other side of the moon is dark, right? It's on the other side of the country, of the continent, or other side of the world. So technically, we're only seeing half of the moon when it's full. I think I said that correctly. Somebody correct me if I didn't.
All right. Folks, we're getting reports that President Trump has already started bombing Iran again.
I told you.
Okay, here's some footage. All right, so it looks like that's just recent.
2 o'clock came early, like I said.
Right now, it's about 5:17 a.m. 5:47 a.m. in Iran on Tuesday. It's already Tuesday morning.
So there's no chance for them to kill their youth.
Oh, so so he was talking about 12 a.m. their time?
Midnight. He must be talking about midnight their time, because it's already 5:45 in the morning. So he must have been talking about midnight or after midnight on Tuesday their time.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, we will continue to monitor it and see what happens here, folks. Wow. All right. Well, speaking of this type of we have another super chatter here.
All right, Kung Fu CJ again. Thank you for your $2. When we go up, aliens come down. LA Marzulli.
Oh, girl.
CJ again. $2 again. Being stationed at NASA or NSA, this is a conflict. Okay. Got you. All right, got you. Thank you, Kung Fu CJ.
All right, thank you all so much. So and please, as you all come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and we appreciate the support, folks. This is a platform here. We, again, are popping politics, but we are on the Metro Conservative Media platform. You can check out Just the Guys podcast, which was on Saturday. They had a brand new show. Definitely check them out at Just the Guys podcast. You can get a live show every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. You get a male perspective on news and pop culture. And then you can check out me at KJ Christian Conservative on the Christian Conservative YouTube channel. That's at KJ Christian Conservative, where I provide a biblical perspective on news and pop culture. And you can find me and Michelle there every Thursday and Sunday evening. All right, so you're getting a little scoop of us. You can see us every day, really. Something on Metro Conservative Media. So definitely check us out. All right. Speaking of sort of the biblical, we're talking about Nigeria, folks. So we just finished the Easter weekend. This is the Easter Monday, but just finished Easter weekend, and millions of Christians, as millions of Christians across the world celebrated Holy Week. Believers in Nigeria have already been shaken by a Palm Sunday attack that reportedly left dozens dead. All right, a group of gunmen opened fire on a crowd in the northern Nigeria Plateau state on Sunday evening as many people returned home from the evening worship services. While the official death count is still being confirmed, local reports have indicated that as many as 27 people could have been killed. Take a look at this young Christian young lady whose father was just killed. This is clip 7.
Pray for Daddy.
So that is so sad. Again, witnesses have blamed the terrorist group Boko Haram for the attack, while others said it was a group of Fulani militia, largely Muslim group that has targeted Nigeria's Christian communities. Nicole, we've talked about this one here before. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts haven't changed. My thoughts have not changed, not one bit. It's unfathomable to us as Americans, right? You're a Christian person, you're living your happy Christian life in your Judeo-Christian country. So we don't really feel the brunt of the harder parts of radical Islam that want you dead simply because you refuse to believe, or they want to kidnap you and impregnate you and all of these things because you don't want to assimilate to their culture. You don't want to adopt their God. It is heart-wrenching to see this girl grieving her father this way. And again, I'm gonna keep beating that drum. They need to learn how to protect themselves. They need to learn how to protect the house of God. I don't know where this, ultra, I call it cartoon Christianness comes from, where Christian people aren't supposed to defend themselves. Christian people aren't supposed to defend the faith. Of course we are. This is ridiculous. It gets to a point where it's almost obscene that the rest of the world sits there and sends thoughts and prayers while people are being slaughtered. It really does bother me to no end. There are millions of Nigerians that live here in the United States of varying degrees of immigration status. They really do need to be lobbying their members of Congress. They really do need to be lobbying to get something done. If not tougher sanctions, something has to be done to kind of quell this thing. I know that the Trump administration did have some sanctions against them early on. I don't know if those sanctions have expired because of Congress has not acted, but I would definitely, if I were a Nigerian American, I would definitely be calling my member of Congress saying we're going to have to tighten up these sanctions and make this government respond. They said that the soldiers were there, but it took them so long to respond that the soldiers were able to get the hostages back. But by then they had killed a bunch of people. So something has to be done. We need better sanctions against these Islamists who are killing the Christians, not only in Nigeria, but all across Africa. Something has to be done.
Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts here?
I tell you what has to be done. Those people need to break the law. And let me tell you why I say that. In their country, in Nigeria. I know, again, I don't know. I'm going to maybe I'm wrong. You all might tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. I know that they are quote unquote following the law because their government says that they can't be armed. They cannot be armed. So I say break the law. Okay,
that's what I said.
Like, we need to break the law. I say that there's a time to break the law. And then when I talk about like freedom of speech or freedoms, this is kind of I'm talking about. No government has the right to deter or to prevent you from protecting yourself. That's what I mean about freedoms. You have a God-given right. Every person on earth has a God-given right. Your life is valuable. You are created in the image of God, and no government has the right. Now, governments will make those laws. That does not mean that they are they're supposed to, or that they are legitimate in doing so. They're legitimate maybe as far as the process, but it's not legitimate as far as the outcome and what the consequences mean. That's what I mean when I say break the law. These people need to find some kind of way to get armed, break their country's laws. Yes, I'm telling you, do that and protect yourself and your families. That's all I gotta say. Call it what you want. I don't care. I'm saying break the law. Those are your freedoms. You had the freedom and the right to protect yourself.
Yeah. Well, right now, again, this is radical Islam persecuting Christians, and it's honestly nothing new. We have seen this for ages, where the number one persecution of Christians is radical Islam. And this used to never be something that was controversial. I mean, everyone knows this. But now all of a sudden we're not supposed to talk about this. Now, you guys know we talked at the top of the show. President Trump came out and made that Truth Social post. He made sort of like I guess he was mocking when he said
praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Well, there's a viral video taking off right now of Tucker Carlson. He is going crazy over what President Trump said. He is pissed, and he is really just slamming President Trump for his comments about Islam. Take a look here. We have it here.
Who do you think you are? You're tweeting out the F word on Easter morning? You'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. So obviously you're mocking the religion of Iran. Okay. If you seek a religious war, that's a good idea. But by the way, no decent person mocks other people's religions. You may have a problem with the theology. Presumably you do if it's not your religion, and you could explain what that is. But to mock other people's faith is to mock the idea of faith itself. And we should never mock that, because at its core is the acknowledgement that we are not in charge of the universe. We did not build it. We won't be here at the end of it. We can destroy life. We cannot create it because we are not God. The message of all faith at the biggest picture level is the message in our Bible, which is you are not God. And only if you think you are do you talk this way. But it's not just mockery of Islam. And no president should mock Islam. That's not your job. This is not a theocracy. We don't go to war with other theocracies to find out which theocracy is more effective. We are not a theocracy. And God willing, we never will be, because theocracies corrupt the religion. No, this is a mockery not just of Islam, it's a mockery of Christianity. To send out a tweet with the F word on Easter morning promising the murder of civilians and then saying praise be to Allah without explaining any of it, you are mocking me and every other Christian because we're Christians. We can't support that. That is evil. That is an intentional desecration of beauty and truth, which is the definition of evil.
All right. Does he have a point, Nicole?
Of course not. Boy, I'm telling you what, he's shilling for that Qatari paycheck. You better tap them feet and dance faster, man. Let me tell you, the mental gymnastics it took for him to arrive at praise be to Allah is some way detrimental to American Christians. You know, Tucker's a lot of things, but when he is that red-faced, spitting on his microphone, kind of fired up, poking his eye out with his reading glasses, kind of angry, he's really letting his Qatari show. He really is. You know, at some point, he just might as well just come out and say it. Just say it. Say it what everybody else already knows. I don't know why he's even trying to hide it now. That had nothing to do with American Christians. Nothing whatsoever. And I can guarantee you when he read that on Easter Sunday morning, he was dropping more F-bombs than the president did. I'm telling you, I would have paid good money to be in the room when his cell phone started ringing when his friends in Qatar read that message. I would have paid good money to hear those conversations. Thought you had that. Thought you had these Americans convinced that we're the way, the truth, and the life, right? I thought you had them convinced. Maybe everybody watches Tucker, but not people believing in Tucker. Maybe that's the case.
Yeah.
Qatari could write me a check. I'm going to say that. I'm going to still be a Christian, but you could definitely drop us a check. But we're going to call Tucker out for his bias, which is showing full display in that clip.
What are your thoughts there, Shelley?
Tucker was so fake. Okay. It was so fake. Again, I watch Tucker, and then some of his shows he does with people, I can see some of his points, whatever, but this was so fake. It was just clutching your pearls. It was so faux outrage. I didn't even feel a sense of empathy with him. I did not. Now, there are people who disagree and say, President Trump, why'd you have to do this on Easter? You should have just closed, whatever. But this Tucker was so, he sort of worked up that fake energy in himself so that he could come on whatever day he did this. Did he do a Sunday or whatever? I mean, it was just fake. It was just total. It was just unbelievable. It did not even come across. You should have just used Robert De Niro.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It was a beautiful performance. I really loved how they brought the lighting down so it made him look angrier. When you take a look at the set, they made like an angry set. Like, oh, Tucker's so angry. Everybody be angry with Tucker. No, all the rest of us are gonna have some ham and maybe a little potato salad.
When I saw that, I knew President Trump. I was just saying, oh gosh, President Trump, why today? That's what I said. But in no way did I even get inclination that he was mocking Christians or East. Nothing. I didn't do that at all. I mean, I didn't get that, nothing like that.
My issue here is we know what's going on. All right. We are in conflict with the IRGC. All right. Now, he's mocking the IRGC. Okay. So if you are Muslim and you feel as though you are claiming the IRGC and their radicalism and their evil, then you're in the wrong. All right. What peaceful Muslims need to do all over the world is draw a line, which many do, but draw a line between what you practice and what we're talking about is going on in Iran. Okay. And you need to say, I don't agree with that either. And the president of the United States, whether I like him or not, he's mocking the evil regime that is leading in Iran. And that's what he's doing. He's not talking about my religion, which is clearly what it's about. That's what I feel. I see nothing wrong with what he did at all. We're talking about an evil regime that we are in conflict with that just killed thousands of people, innocent people in the streets, their children, their young people, women and kids. That's who we're talking about. We're talking about the ones that strap on these bombs and go into crowded places, killing thousands of innocents. That's what we're talking about. So if you can't distinguish between that, which Tucker Carlson knows what he's doing. If you can't distinguish between that and peaceful Islam, then you're the problem, in my opinion. So, but Tucker is going off about this. He is going off.
Like I said, he want that extra zeros on his check. He better go ahead and keep tap dancing for them Qataris. They ain't here to
manufacture. Totally manufactured.
They're not here to play with him. It's just like
he's going off. He goes off on Zionists. He goes off on. He did apologize, but he went off on. He called us all kinds of names, Christian Zionists. He's going off on President Trump when he says anything about radical Islam, but he doesn't say anything about the radical Islam that's doing all this chaos. It's really weird. It's bizarre.
It's paid for. It's bought and paid for. You know, I mean, at some point, selling your soul comes home to roost, right? And it's here. It's here for him. It just makes me. You made a very valid point about the people who say that Islam is peaceful. We need those people to stand up. We need you to be counted. If you truly believe that your religion is peaceful, and it's just a small portion of the people who follow this religion that's causing all the trouble, we need y'all to come get y'all folks, right? Come get your people. Yeah. Come do that. But
they know it's not true. They know it's not true. They'll have a fatwa out on them so quick.
All right. Well, folks, sound off in the chat. Let us know what you think. All right. We have some
we have a super chat here. Rob, thank you for your $5 super chat. Smartest ladies on the World Wide Web. Thank you, Rob. Thank you for that. Butterbean, thank you for $10 super chat. But the Muslims have free range to mock Christians. Just saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they want to come here and do it on our soil. So yes.
So listen, and on our dime. And on our dime, they come here and collect all of our social benefits so they can harass us. At some point, the foolishness has got to stop. And I think we're finally getting there. I think people are really starting to wake up to, certain things just can't coexist in the same space. And people who want to kill you, you should not invite into your space. I'm just going to be really honest. That seems pretty, commonsensical, but for whatever reason, there's a large portion of the American public who really are walking around thinking that these people don't mean us any harm when they absolutely mean us harm. Death to America is real.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely real.
We have another super chatter here. Josh, again, thank you, Josh, for your $10 super chat. Does Tucker ever look at a map and realize, quote, there's dryways in Texas wider than Israel? I don't get that.
I don't think he does. Here's the thing. I think Tucker's worldview has been skewed. I would probably say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even longer than that. But there's just something wrong, inherently wrong with his view of the world. And it's shameful because, I used to love Tucker in the early days back when he was on Fox. That was my guy. I didn't miss an episode. But something happened. Something happened along the way. And he's not the man that
I can tell you what I think happened. I said this before. I think when he was let go, fired, whatever from Fox, I really do think he had like a psychotic break. I do. I think, and I think he's traumatized by that because these are the people, the Fox types, the media, all the elites, if you will. He grew up with them. This is the world he was raised in. And I think he felt, I don't know if jolted is the right word, but I really think he had some kind of psychological reaction to that. He says he was angry, whatever, but I think it was deeper than that. I really think he's trying to stick it to them in some kind of way.
Well, my thing is this: if that's the case, just say it. If you no longer believe what you used to believe, say that. Why are you pretending to be something that you're not? Take a look at this next clip. In this clip, he has some wahoo nutty looking guy. Look like he has a wig on. I don't know. And he's talking about how capitalism shouldn't be anywhere near Christianity. Take a look at this clip.
I would actually argue, and this is a bold statement, the Democratic Republic is the greatest government experiment in the history of humanity. I would say
I've enjoyed it.
You've enjoyed it. Yeah. So we enjoy it. I love America. You love America.
I do.
Capitalism should not be anywhere near Christianity.
You think?
Christianity is more, and I don't like the word socialist with the weight it carries, but Christianity is socialism at its core.
Non-authoritarian.
It's the marker to build social capital. You look at that early Church of Acts and it transformed Rome within a couple hundred years, the greatest superpower of its time, to where Constantine was like, I'm a Christian hanging out with these dudes. They had no money. They had no buildings, but somehow the love of their neighbor transformed the greatest superpower of its time. That's dangerous. I would actually argue, and this is a bold statement.
Wow. Folks, that is so not the case. Christianity calls for personal generosity, not government coercion. I mean, it says it clear in 2 Corinthians. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion.
Right. And another thing, he must have never heard of the Protestant work ethic. Okay, because that when the Protestant work ethic was, I guess I'm going to say not implemented per se, but you know what I mean, the values behind it, that generated and drove the capitalist system for Christians, particularly because of Protestantism, and this is why we have the society that we have largely. Okay, so he must be, because of Christian values, people will work harder. They will they want to take care of their families. They want a way to take care of themselves. They work because they want it's dignified. It keeps them, and it has a sense of dignity to it. So it's a provision. Now, granted, you may or may not like the particular job, and of course, but there are ways to get many different jobs and improve your skills and all of that things, all of those values that help you in the marketplace. So he must have never heard of that. I don't know why Tucker didn't push back on that. I mean, Tucker is not a dumb person.
No, he's not.
He was nodding in agreement.
Yeah, he was probably mesmerized by that hairdo. You just sitting there
I'm sorry,
staring
he
into
looked
that
dirty. He looked
situation.
dirty and stinky.
He looks homeless, but what my point for that segment that he was just talking about, it is our Christian values that make capitalism work.
Yes.
When you think about early industrial America, where children worked, I'm talking little kids, 7, 8, 9, like they do in China now, right? Little tiny children. It's our Christian values that said, no, these children made in the image of God. We're going to love them, raise them up, let them go to school. We're not going to force them to work. We're not going to, have them out here in coal mines, digging out rocks and whatnot. We're not doing that anymore. A lot of our Christian values are corporate values. It's worked into corporate values. You see people getting let go all the time because they've ran afoul of their morality clause that may be in their contract. Nurses who are threatening to kill the president and hoping, ill will on pregnant folk and all those kind of things have a morality clause. And that's definitely based on Judeo-Christian principles. So the two things not only coexist in the same space, but they feed positivity into each other. I don't know any other system that does it better. It would have been interesting to hear them pontificate on what they think works better, because both of them are sitting there as capitalists and quote unquote professed Christians.
They must have never heard if a man doesn't work, he won't eat. So if you're not working, how you gonna feed the commune?
Exactly.
Not only that, but let's talk about the founders, which we know the founding of our country was based on, as you mentioned, Judeo-Christian values. Well, the idea of the founding and how they structured government, they want it very limited. Why do they want it limited? Because they know that a large government becomes God. And we said, the founders said that we don't want that. There's only one God, one creator. Okay. And also the idea of government, the main purpose of government was to protect individual freedom. What does that look like? It was our individual physical bodies and individual property, private property. And that's recognized in scripture. You shall not steal. Well, you can't steal what you don't own, right? Ownership is assumed. So the Bible protects property. It doesn't abolish it. And we know socialism, communism, the property is owned by the state. It doesn't even make sense what this man is talking about. Folks, we got to wake up. What the Bible says, what was once right is going to be said is wrong, and what's wrong is going to be said is right. And we are clearly seeing it.
All right, we have Teresa here. Thank you and she says she's retired, U.S. Navy. Thank you for your service, Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you for the $20. Lecture by Tucker is so banal. He's lost his mind. President Trump's F-bomb was for warning and effect. The Iranians were hunting down on Americans, citizens to make an example of him and stick it to us. Yes, you're right, Teresa. Thank you for that.
Good point. Excellent.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. A lot of people had issues with that.
We have Judah. Thank you, Judah, for your $2 super chat. They forgot about the parable of the talents. Yes, thank you, Judah. Thank you for that.
Absolutely, folks.
And we have one. Oh, okay. I thought we had one more. All right, everybody, don't forget, as you go out, hit that like, share, and subscribe if you have not already done so.
Absolutely, folks. We got over 500 people watching. We want to get those likes up.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, folks, we aren't the only ones who are waking up to the insanity of the left. Here is the next viral clip of a woman, former Democrat, who is slowly starting to realize the agenda of the Democrat Party. This is clip 6.
Existed for a long time, this notion that Democrats were deliberately inviting masses of foreigners into the country because they wanted to to grow little Democrats and create a one-party state. I've started to come around to that view. Before Trump effectively closed the southern border, I imagined a lot of it was incompetence and fecklessness. Now, there may be an element of that, but I think it was more intentional. The Biden administration opened that border on purpose and shipped people all over the country, wherever they wanted to go. They put illegal migrants with no ID onto commercial airplanes with regular passengers who all have to have, an impeccable national ID. I mean, it's just, there is design behind it. And I don't have any other theory aside from this pathological passion for minorities and a weird notion that people who are non-white are superior. I don't see any other reason for inviting so many people in, especially because, on the one hand, the left talks about, oh, we need these people economically. We have this aging age structure, and Social Security's imperiled, and Medicare costs too much, and we need young people to fill out the workforce. But then, they support family reunification, which means these people can bring in their parents, right? I mean,
so she's still, yeah, that's what he did. Shelley, what are your thoughts?
That's true. They did that, and we are paying for it now. And thank God, again, we're trying to clean it up. The borders are largely closed, so we got to keep going in this direction. And keep in mind that the Supreme Court, they are deliberating this idea of birthright citizenship. The Trump versus Barber, I think it is, but that's ongoing right now. So all of this is going to play a part.
Yeah. Nicole, do you think she did sound like she was working through this? Do you think more and more people are waking up?
I think what used to be a moderate Democrat is starting to wake up. You can see the angst on her face when she's talking about how this is now just starting to dawn on her. So I think it's going to take them some time, because for a certain segment of the population, their politics is who they are. Especially when you think about Northeastern white women, it's a big part of who they are. Being, a card-carrying Democrat is more important to them than just about anything. So seeing someone say, okay, well, wait a minute. Now that I'm looking at this with taking off the sunglasses and taking a look at the bright light of day, maybe the Biden administration did do this purposely. Things are starting to make more sense to me now. I like the way that most Democrats go from Democrat to independent, then independent to Republican, because I don't want them just jumping straight over. I want them to be thoughtful, to think about why things are different. So we don't have this thing where people are just, vacillating parties left and right every single election cycle. I really do appreciate how thoughtful she was. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I pray to God this is the case. I pray to God it's the case. I really hope we win the midterms and or at least one of the houses we keep. And I pray to God, because folks, I don't know if we'll be able to withstand another presidency like the Biden presidency. I personally believe that Biden caused more destruction in our country than Obama did. I think he did. I think Biden was worse than Obama. And now that they know what they can do, meaning the left, the next time they get into the White House, as we saw with this CIA agent governor in Virginia, who polling just came out, she's got the worst polling ever at this time of a governor in Virginia has ever had in the past. People are really regretting voting for her. They're going to really go crazy. They're going to really go crazy against us, our rights. The country will probably look nothing like it looks ever, like it does again.
Right.
So,
well, we got a super chatter here. Teresa, again, thank you for your $5 super chat. Pay attention to Lionel Shriver. Is it Lionel Shriver? She's exceptional. P.S. That is her actual name. Watch her interview with Coleman Hughes. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I love that. Yes.
Teresa, again, thank you for your $10 super chat. Shelly E, you're right. I'm pretty sure that dude's hygiene was very much in question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looked a little tart. He did.
Oh, yeah, he did. He looked like a grease ball.
Yeah,
not in a good way. I usually like grease balls, but not that. No.
You know what, KJ?
We
almost made it the whole show. We almost.
All right. Want to take a look at this last video. This is Joy Reid recently going off again on the right, but I don't think what she intended to say came quite out the way she wanted. Take a look here. This is clip 9.
Go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes. There were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes. Right. That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things.
So she's talking about the right, but I'm thinking like all those things she mentioned, I'm like, what's wrong with that?
First of all, she was talking my language. You know, the crazy thing is that their plans don't work without our money. That's the thing. They have to break everybody's back in order to get this fuzzy, you know, unisex, the globalist society that they think is going to be great. And you know, I always have this theory is, why don't you start first, Joy? Give up all your worldly possessions. Just give it all up and be flat Betty for a week or two, maybe a year or 3. You be the first person. You be the first person. Because what happens is elites never give up all of their stuff. It's the regular people. It's the populace that they want to break, not each other. I mean, we see it in New York with Mondami, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, my wife can be as racist as she chooses to be. She's my wife. You know, I'm the mayor. That's the way this is supposed to work. Now, you can't say that, but she can. Because she's my wife and we're the elite, we're the ruling class. And this is what they want. When they say the quiet part out loud and she's saying it like it's a dirty thing, and I'm waiting for the punchline because you sound great right now, girlfriend. You sound amazing. You know, it makes me think again of how great that divide is between the left and the right.
Yeah, and you mentioned New York. I mean, folks, it's getting so bad in New York that they are trying to lower the speed limit in New York City so they can put in more cameras and speed cameras to get money off of hardworking people for speeding. Lower it because I guess people aren't speeding at the rate of the.
They need them to speed, right?
So they're lowering it because they know they'll get more people, and in that turn they'll send out more speeding tickets, just so they can get more money in the car.
Absolutely. You know, when I'm thinking when she said that, I'm like, well, what is wrong with that? Why? There's a difference between there used to be a song. Let me say it this way. There used to be a song when I was young. It was called "To Be Young, Gifted, and Black." Mm-hmm. Nowhere in that song did it say to be dumb. Okay, Joy is dumb. I don't understand how she even put those two ideas together and to say that this should be the conclusion. Why would you want any government to take all your money? And she's wrong about one thing. In 1861, President Abraham Lincoln imposed a tax to pay for the Civil War. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then a couple of years later, that was overturned because they was like, no, you can't tax people's income, whatever. Right. Mm-hmm. Here we are today. We pay upwards. Every American that's hardworking, for the most part, we pay upwards of more than 50% when you add up all the taxes that we have: local, state, federal, excise taxes, import taxes, fees, payroll taxes, property taxes, corporate taxes. I wrote them down. Estate taxes, capital gains, gift taxes. When you add up all those, it comes up to be more than 50% of your income. Mind you, our tax system is, people say it's progressive. I say it's progressive in the sense that it keeps increasing as you make more, but it's regressive because it disincentivizes you to want to make more because your money is going to be taken. I don't understand Joy. Joy seems like she goes all around the tulips just so she can take a dig at, I'll say, Republicans, certainly at Trump, anything. And I don't even think she believes in her damn self.
Oh, I think she believes it.
Not this part. I don't think she believes this part.
The reason why I think she believes it is because she is like a lot of other leftist Black folks. They continue to remove themselves from the American dream. They believe that because they are Black, they cannot take part in the American dream, in capitalism. They continue to other themselves. That's what they're doing. Oh my God, they're nuts, folks. These people, when you think of the enslavement of the mind, her picture and the rest of these dumb leftists, and I'm going to say dumb Black leftists, their faces should come up. They really don't. They don't believe that they are can take part of it. Does it? Do you understand what I'm saying? There?
Yes.
They don't feel empowered to be, quote unquote, an American, right?
So they want to do everything to make themselves not American.
Exactly. But they want all the privileges. They don't want any of the responsibility. That's the big difference. That's the one thing about freedom. Freedom is the greatest privilege in the world, but it comes with a rack of responsibilities, and it's hard. Sometimes being free means you're free and broke, but you're still free, right? Well, they don't want that. They want your money. I mean, just because you worked harder, you studied longer, God blessed you differently, does that mean that I don't get a piece of what you have? I think you should contribute to this great pot of resources, that I'm taking money out of, so I don't have to be exceptional, so I don't have to work hard, and I can just enjoy myself doing whatever it is that I decide to do. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely the most bizarre thought process, especially for a very wealthy woman to have. Absolutely bizarre on her part.
Yeah. Well, we have another super chatter here.
All right. I just want to say one last thing before we move on from this. Folks, it's one thing to be dumb. It's another thing to be a perpetual victim. But to be dumb, a perpetual victim, and ugly.
You know what?
Ooh.
Like KJ.
You got a real problem.
I just kept it a dumb and Black. I didn't want to go there, but
I didn't say anything about Black. I said
I said I kept it there. I just kept it.
Oh yeah, you got a real problem, Joy, and bald headed. You got a real problem.
Tyrone Davis, thank you, Tyrone, for your $2 super chat. People are starting to wake up to right and wrong. Thank you, Tyrone, for that. Everybody else, hit that like, share, and subscribe out there. Are we going to do this little funny video?
Yes, we'll do it. We'll do it. Folks, this is something Shelly wants to play. I didn't even think it was that funny. But...
Wait a minute. No, I got just a little background. Not about this. I have seen a few videos on Instagram.
I'm surprised you want to play this.
No, I've been laughing all weekend or the last few days. I have been laughing, but this was just one of them.
Take a look, folks. Oh, dude.
So this is the guy.
Gift card. We don't do that. Our Chick-fil-A doesn't even take cash. We don't do that. And I'm saying all this just to let y'all know that this is not an actual Chick-fil-A. It's a Chick-fil-A, but it's not a real deal Chick-fil-A, if you get what I'm trying to say. So I asked everybody if they wanted to be in the video. Of course, everybody said yes, because this is not my first time making a video with my night shift. It's not. And this is not the first video that I posted that went viral. I get a group me message with everybody's name in the chat. So I called the manager and I'm like, hey, you added every single person that was in that TikTok video. If you're adding us to talk about this video,
oh my God,
let me know so I can hurry up and take it down, because I don't need nothing. Because I don't need nothing getting more serious than it is now. He goes, oh, it's already a big issue. I said, okay, so what are y'all?
So for everybody out there, I'm sure many of you have seen it. This is a manager. This guy was a manager at some Chick-fil-A. Looks like he may have been in a mall or something. I'm not sure. I don't know where. But he after they closed, they still in Chick-fil-A uniforms on Chick-fil-A property. Okay. He convinces all the staff to do, I don't even know what the music is, whatever the dance is, you know, shaking your boobs, whatever. All of them go in on it. And of course they publicize it or post it, right? He got the whole damn shift fired. All these people don't have jobs now. And he's on there talking about somebody, Chick-fil-A, whoever, one of the executives called him on a Sunday. He got Chick-fil-A people out of church because, you know, on Sundays they're closed, and they were all fired. And he doesn't understand why. He really thinks that Chick-fil-A, that they were doing something to bring publicity to Chick-fil-A. This is what I mean by dumb and black.
Oh,
do you know? Lord have mercy. There's a lot of problems with both videos. One, you can't be complaining you're fired from Chick-fil-A while eating said Chick-fil-A. Let's do that. Let's do that. Because if you were fired, where'd you get the meal from? Right? I'm not going to point out the obvious. But what made you think generally this was a good idea? Because not only were you dismissed from Chick-fil-A, now the world knows why. Right? So let's say, I'm a Burger King girl, right? I'm a Burger King manager, and you come apply for a job, and I say, oh, I know them boobs. You was one of the ones that was bouncing at Chick-fil-A. No, thank you. We have no desire. We don't want any bouncing boobs. We don't want some guy shaking his fat back. No, sir. You keep that over there where you are. Not only did this video cause them to lose their jobs, it's going to make it harder for them to get hired somewhere else. And these are young. Some of these people are young, like the girl with no boobs. You know, she's a relatively young person. The internet is forever. And this video has been seen all over the place. What's it worth?
I don't know why they thought Chick-fil-A, why did Chick-fil-A need their help to get promos and publicity? Chick-fil-A does quite fine on their own.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A does just well. But, you know, the thing is, there's a generation of these young people who think if they do it for TikTok, then, you know, I got likes, I got clicks, I'm popular. There's a difference between famous and infamous. And they've never learned that. They've never learned that. And he still can't conceive it. It's just the words are just hitting him across his forehead. He just doesn't get. I don't understand why, but okay, we'll get other jobs. Will you? Will you really?
It was hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, folks, you know, I mean, I think people have. You know how you hear people say trigger happy. Nowadays, we have people who are phone happy. They have to video everything. And it's really they to their detriment. So, all right, that was about.
It's always the black ones got to be shaking their boots. I mean, that's what that's the part that I don't get. They can't even record something. I'm gonna say a little bit classy, a little less assy. They can't do that. But I digress.
Yeah. Well, we got one last video for you guys as we close out. We just cannot get enough of the Artemis 2. All right. And this video just came out breaking. President Trump called the crew on the spaceship, the Artemis 2, and talked with the astronauts, and they were elated by this phone call. Folks, we'll be back on Wednesday at 8 p.m. But we want to leave you with this extraordinary call, and then just this bright spot. You know, we got to leave this with you. So we'll see you on Wednesday. Take a look.
Well, thank you very much, Jared, and you are doing a fantastic job. And hello, very special hello to Artemis 2. Today you've made history and made all America really proud, incredibly proud. We have a lot of things to be proud of lately, but this is there's nothing like what you're doing, circling around the moon for the first time in more than a half a century and breaking the all-time record for the farthest distance from planet Earth. Humans have really never seen anything quite like what you're doing in a manned spacecraft. It's really special. I want to personally salute and congratulate Commander Reid Weissman, Pilot Victor Glover, Mission Specialist Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. And I also want to thank the entire amazing team at NASA, headed by Jared, who's a very special guy, by the way, and you all made this day possible, and you've really inspired the entire world. Really, everybody's watching. They find it incredible. I just watched you go to the back of the moon, and people haven't been there in a long time, we can say, but it's going to be more and more prevalent because we're going to be doing a lot of traveling, and then you're going to ultimately do the whole big trip to Mars, and that's going to be very exciting. So you look at, we had no astronaut has been to the moon since the days of Apollo program. The Apollo program was also very special, but that was 50 years ago. And at long last, America is back, and America is back in many ways stronger than ever before. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world. The Artemis crew flew in the most powerful rocket NASA has ever made, ever launched, traveled over 250,000 miles, broke the distance record set by the legendary Apollo 13. And America is a frontier nation, and the 4 brave astronauts of Artemis 2 are a modern day, you really are modern day pioneers, all of you. And one of them happens to be a neighbor. You know who that is, right? You have a special person over there, a neighbor, and we like our neighbor. Your mission paves the way for America's return to the lunar surface very soon. We're going all out. We're doing everything we can, and it's headed up by Jared. We'll plant our flag once again, and this time we won't just leave footprints. We'll establish a permanent presence on the moon, and we'll push on to Mars. That'll be very exciting. I'm waiting for that so much. I'd love to be here, but maybe we won't quite make it in terms of timing, but we will be up in the moon, and that's going to happen soon. So America will be second to none in space and everything else that we're doing, and we will continue to lead the whole thing into the stars, this incredible journey into the stars. So I just wanted, it's an honor to